again, and welcome to another edition of the Valley Today. I'm Mario Retrosi. It is Wednesday, which means the Valley Business Today. Chance to talk about business and industry in the Northern Shenandoah Valley. Here to help us do that today, the one, the only, Miles Davis, Dean of the Business School at Shenandoah University, the dapper Miles Davis. You know, I should take a picture of that and put it on Facebook for everybody to see. The nice look you've got. I love the bow tie.
Well, you know, I always did say that I dressed well for radio.
That's it. We can see you on the radio.
Well, you know what? But before we get started, Mary, you know what we have to talk about.
What's that?
It's another beautiful day in the Shenandoah Valley.
It is. Sun's trying to fight through. You know, August, and we're only at 80 degrees. It's not 95 or 100.
It's crazy. It feels good. But you know, the weather here, if you don't like it, stick around and it'll change.
Wait 5 minutes.
You know what? But here's an exciting thing today. You know, we're hearing lots of things. Matter of fact, as you know, I often post things from the university of student involvement. And one of the things that businesses have to adapt to in the world in which we face is that there's all sorts of things that 10, even 5 years ago weren't in existence, Mario.
A lot of things that weren't in existence. And now you wonder, how in the world did we exist, and how did we make out?
Exactly. Well, one of those things is what we call under the umbrella title social media.
Social media.
Social media. Matter of fact, there are some things that are too social. We'll discuss that if we have time at the end of the
There you
program.
go. And now, when you say social media, we're talking Facebook, Twitter. It kind of started, I guess, with Pinterest, LinkedIn. It kind of started with MySpace, but that's become obsolete from what I understand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, there are certain groups that still use it, and I think the Beaver, somebody put some money in it. But anyway, but today we're fortunate to have an expert with us today to discuss this.
Okay.
And who we have today is Idris Grant, who is a co-founder of LSI Media, and his company helps people market themselves on social media. Welcome to the show, Idris.
Thank you for having me.
So now tell us a little bit about your company and what it is exactly that you do there.
So we're a digital media agency, really. If you boil everything that we do down, we're a marketing company.
Okay. Now let's back up a second, because you're talking about digital media. So old guys like me, you know, I think we were raised in an analog.
Yeah, we're analog guys.
So for those who are listening, you know, so what do you mean by digital media versus analog, any other type of media?
So when we say digital media, that includes video, online video, websites, your social media profiles, Twitter, your mobile phone, you know, connecting to your Instagram, or any online media that conveys who you are, or it's an extension of yourself.
Well, you know, and that's really interesting, because quite frankly, we find ourselves in an era where anything about anyone can be posted online.
That's right.
And even about your business. And in my particular industry, education, is quite frankly, there's a website called Rate My Professor, and people look in that they can post negative things about you. So now, does your company, so you say you're a marketing company, now, let me ask you a question. Between marketing and branding, same thing, different, work together? Help us out here.
So branding is more about awareness of who you are and what you do. Marketing is about it's that in addition to putting some kind of call to action, getting someone to do something. You know?
Okay.
So marketing is more about influence.
Okay.
Branding is more about awareness.
Okay. So if we look at it from a for-profit business perspective, normally you talk about marketing. The marketing piece that you're talking about is designed to get a consumer to purchase a product, good, or service from whoever's marketing that service. Is that fair enough to say?
Purchase, donate if you're a nonprofit, some action.
Okay.
Right?
All right, so now moving it into your particular area of expertise, how is that different or similar to, you know, those who grew up in the mainstream world of marketing, ad campaigns, and things like that? What difference does it make in social media?
Social media just extends it. It extends, it basically allows you to get to your audience while they're checking their Facebook account 11 o'clock at night in their bunny slippers. That's the only difference really between... Well,
I just wanted to know I'm having a hard time imagining you in bunny slippers, but I don't want to digress too much. Go ahead.
You don't want to
bunny
slippers.
All right.
But however, your next customer, you're gonna get to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. social media or digital media extends the boundaries of time zones, geographic regions, and the other aspect of social media or digital media is engagement and exchange. Social media is really the number one goal in social media, and most companies and individuals, I think, get this. They don't understand the fact that it's designed to start. So from a marketing perspective, it's designed to start the sales process.
Well, it's interesting as we talk about this sales process. Even as I look at here, as you and I are speaking, and people are listening to us on the radio can't see this, but you have a tablet in front of you, you have a smartphone in front of you, you have a smartphone in front of me. You know, our great executive producer, Mara, has a computer in front of him.
Yeah, my smartphone's not too smart. It's in the other room. What good it's going to do
which is probably the smartest thing you did was to put it in the other room. So given that we have these gadgets, then your campaign has to be, or whatever you're doing in marketing, has to be geared towards people on the move, because people take these things with them.
Yep.
So does that change the game when you're trying to develop and you're trying to market social media, particularly social media where you may only have it, and you mentioned it, you said, you know, I'm in bed at night flipping through stuff. So quite frankly, you don't really have a lot of time to catch somebody's attention. It's not like when you're watching television where you might have a whole hour show or half an hour show. You really, what vines are like 7 seconds long or something? You really have a limited amount of time to catch somebody's attention.
And it's interesting you mentioned 7 seconds. You've got about 7 seconds to catch somebody's attention.
You think I know about this,
right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you got 7 seconds, right? And then I believe you got another 30 seconds to keep them. So when you're talking about video, here's the thing, from access. And the fact that social media is expanding, everything's expanding. You know, and you're talking about the idea is that you want to get somebody, you want to hook somebody emotionally. You want to engage with them on an emotional level. And we've identified really 7 different distinct emotional needs. And the idea is that for your product or service, you need to understand what your client needs at an emotional level. Are they coming to you from a position of need, or are they coming to you really to look to gain an advantage from buying your product or service? Does your product or service solve an immediate problem or give an advantage?
So it's interesting because I want to come back to this. We're about to take a break in a few minutes. Before going into that, though, it's interesting because, as you know, the most popular YouTube videos are about these cats and stuff. And so there's plugging in at some emotional level where people want to see these cats. But speaking of plugging in at an emotional level, we have sponsors who like to make sure that we're plugged into them. So, Murr?
Don't forget to become a fan of the River 95.3 on Facebook. Also, click the like button and join Sports Radio 1450 on Facebook as well. Miles Davis, Dean of the Business School, is here, and he's got a guest.
Well, you know, we have a guest, and we have Idris Grant, who's a co-founder of LSI Media, a social media marketing company. But it's interesting, even as I listen to your introduction, Mary, it just shows how much we've changed. We talk about podcasts, we talk about on-demand, we talk about tag us on Facebook, those other things that impact, which is right in Idris's area and what he's looking at. So when you're talking with businesses, you know, before we went to the break, we talked about having that emotional connection. I mean, what you know, if a business coming to you and says, okay, you know, we're trying to get into the internet thing and trying to start marketing our brand to different customers, what's the considerations that they need to take in to look at in order to just start doing this?
So I would say the first thing they need to ask themselves is what do their customers need? What kind of interaction, what kind of experience does the customer need to have, their target customer? I'll give you an example. So if you're, let's say you're in cosmetic surgery. Okay, you've got a cosmetic surgery practice business. You're a doctor. You're doing nose jobs and different cosmetic surgery. Now, some of your customers may be coming to you because they want to improve upon perfection. They have a high self-concept. They have a high sense of certainty, high sense of confidence, and so you need to speak to them and your social media and all of your messaging, your website, your literature, even your print literature needs to speak to that significance, right? And you need to acknowledge that they are special and that they're significant, that they're special people, and that or if you're selling to all-star athletes or politicians, a lot of times that kind of a messaging needs to answer the "what's in it for me" question right off the bat. However, if your customers are coming to you out of a position of need, let's say you're an attorney, okay, and your customers are calling you because they've just received news that they're getting sued, or you know they're not, they don't, in those situations, in those particular situations, they don't have a lot of certainty and a lot of confidence, so they need to get that and feel that coming from you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, what's interesting is, as we talk about this, then the need to do this. Let me just narrow that down a little bit. Why do I need to do this, or do I need to do this on social media? Why can't I just go to you mentioned, an ad in a paper, or as I think about political campaigns, as I see on television, and because the political season is the biggest ad buy time for politicians. Why do I need to be involved with social media? Why can't I just place an ad in our local newspaper or place it in a magazine and be done with it?
Well, let me ask you this: if you, I don't know, you have some kind of issue or problem you're trying to solve, you want to figure out how to refinish your, coffee table. Where's the first place you go?
Online.
Online. And so you go to Google, right?
I use the Google.
You use the Google, right? So here's the thing: Google and all of the search engines, okay, are the first place for buyers to go to look for products or services. That is becoming true every day, every month, every week that passes. They're not going to the yellow pages, they're not going, they don't know, the social proof, the online experience, and Google, the fact that you come up in the search engine results, is the social proof that people need to pick up the phone and call you or send you an email.
Right.
Now, what drives that? What drives you coming up as a business?
Right.
What drives you coming up in those search results? So, people searching for your type of law, your type of law of services. What drives that? Content.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
All right? Content is delivered via media, via the online experience, via social media, via, blogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about, content is king.
Right.
Content. So in order to be an effective marketer, you have to really be an effective content creator or generator or sharer.
And offer the customers an experience that's relevant to what it is that they're trying to connect with.
Absolutely. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to give them the content.
Okay.
So the hook is, am I getting confidence from what I'm reading from you? Do I feel better about my situation? Do I feel like your product or service is going to help me in my situation? I'm in a position of need.
Right.
Then I'll read your content. Then I'll go to the next step. Right?
Well, it's even interesting because you mentioned this the ALS campaign that has swept across the USA, and I mentioned across the USA because we do send this podcast to international audiences, but they can find us online. And what's interesting about this is I think that people watch it because it's turned into a theatrical event, so they watch it, and so and they nominate some people, and I've seen people get all dressed up and do this, they tell a story, and they nominate short video, but it is record amount of money has been generated from ALS because of this social media
And it's
campaign.
two needs that are driving that.
Okay, say more.
First need is a need for significance. People wanting to show off and be seen.
Yes.
They want to feel significant, right?
Is that at the base of the world of selfies also?
Selfies, yeah.
Okay.
The second need
All right.
is the need for contribution or
Okay.
connection,
Okay.
right? So these are basic human needs at an emotional level that I've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really the two drivers that are driving the ALS, activity.
Well, what's driving our activity right now is the need to have people pay for us to be on this air. So we got to switch to our sponsors. Mario? We are back with Idris Grant, co-founder of LSI Media, a social marketing company social media marketing company that helps people get out information in regards to their company, their business, and everything else. And before we took the break, you were talking about why certain campaigns are so successful, which tied in, and why somebody should come see you. And we ended on a note about the ALS and what was happening with them.
Yeah, so you've got really from that activity, you've got two types of people.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the folks that want to be seen and they're looking for significance, and so they're going to participate in that kind of social activity, and they get dressed up and they make it a production.
Yes, they do.
Then you got the other folks that are looking for connection. They're looking to be connected to a cause. They're looking to participate in a cause that's greater than themselves. And you can tell the difference between the two types of videos,
Right.
between
Yes,
the
you
first
can.
group and the second group,
Yes, you can.
right? There's a lot of other, other basic needs that come into play, but from a social media perspective, it's emotion first, followed by logic.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to explore this. So, to jump from something like ALS to look at the new Coke commercials, which has your name on the can.
Mm-hmm.
And the validation that people found. So what they've done, again, and this is also interesting with the ALS, is that we have become the marketing department for companies and businesses.
Absolutely.
Because we will take a picture and tweet it or put it on Instagram because it has our name on it, but quite frankly, people see the Coke can.
It's a double-edged sword. The other side of that sword is as a marketer, if your product isn't or service isn't good, people are going to know about it.
Well, let's touch on that as we begin to wrap up. So we talked about the good side. We know that we need to reach people through social media. That's where people are. Quite frankly, they're selling more computer technology than they're selling televisions at this point. But there is a downside to all this, and could you just touch upon that a little bit on that downside real fast?
Well, the downside is that if you're a business,
Mm-hmm.
you have more competition potentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's also the good side.
Okay.
The good side in that aspect is they may be creating a market for you,
Okay.
an awareness about your new product or service, some cutting edge thing that you're offering to the market. And also, if the product isn't good,
Everybody
it doesn't
knows that.
provide value, because like I said, emotion first, logic second. So that you hook them, you get them interested in your product or service, and then the product or service doesn't meet up to the expectations.
Well, then let's use some logic here. If somebody wants to explore these options, they explore your business with you or understand how to use social media marketing, how do they reach you and your company?
They can go to www.lsi-media.com, or they can reach me at idris.grant, idris.grant, at lsi-media.com.
Can they Google you and get your
They
name
can.
and find your company?
IDRIS is the first name, Idris. Last name is Grant, Grant. You can Google me and you can see some of the other companies I've built and sold, and you can also see information on LSI Media.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take this, we're going to digitize this. It'll be available for podcasts. I know that Meryl's going to rebroadcast this at 5:30. I think that we continue in this show to talk about how people can build success. And the reality is that the world has changed. And so we want to help people live their dreams and not their fears.
Miles Davis, Dean of the Business School at Shenandoah University. Again, you can hear the rebroadcast of this afternoon's program at 5:30, following the news at 5 on Sports Radio 1450.